I'm hungry.
Have you...
Hungry.
I am not Perdita. I cannot get you some canine crunchies. Have you ever wondered what would happen when fan fiction got a budget? Well, we're going to take you on a fun adventure. This is The Haunted Mansion, the movie, huh?
Fun adventure?
A fun venture.
I beg to differ.
That was fun. Hello, welcome to Converse-ations.
Conversations.
I'm Eric, this is Katie. We're going to be talking today about another Haunted Mansion topic. This one has some very distinct opinions from literally everyone in the world. Disney did
I
this.
have opinions.
Disney started doing this thing where they started adapting their attractions into feature-length films. We had Pirates of the Caribbean, we had Country Bears.
But Mansion came out before Pirates.
Yeah, it sure did.
Nearly bombed it.
Yep, they almost pulled everything from Pirates because of this movie.
Yeah.
So, Haunted Mansion is a very beloved attraction. Everyone loves it. Everyone has very distinct opinions on it. So when Disney said, let's make it and adapt it into a film,
People said, I can see the potential. I can see why you're doing that.
but the tone of the film is more confusing than the tone of the ride. Ooh. Where you see the tone of the ride split between the two creators.
The two primary influencers, Claude Coates and Mark Davis.
So let's talk about the plot of this film first. So, Jim Evers of Evers & Evers Real Estate and his wife Sarah are trying to go on vacation because Jim Evers is overworking. They get a call about a house that's for sale. It's a giant mansion. Oh, look at that. So then they go over to the mansion. He said 20 minutes tops. We're going to be in there 20 minutes tops. And then, oh no, it starts to rain.
What a lie.
So,
Creepy Pants Butler.
the Creepy Pants Butler, Ransley, and Master Edward Gracie, talk about names in a few minutes, they say, oh no, you have to stay. So then Eddie Murphy, who plays Jim Evers, goes and explores the mansion, and he finds a whole bunch of different rooms, and everyone gets lost. Everyone goes and explores the mansion, and everyone sees different things.
Because everyone's stupid.
Yep. So we have a coachman and a maid by the names of Emma and Ezra, who are...
And Ezra is played by Wally Shawn.
The two of them are kind of helping. There's a curse on the mansion, and you have to solve the curse.
What an original story!
And Madame Leota has to, like, facetiously, like, have her own agenda and tell them, like, help solve this curse, but I'm not going to give you all the information that you need because, you know, Madame Leota.
Also, who plays Madame Leota?
My wonderful wife, Jennifer Tilly.
Wife?
Yep, we're married.
That escalated quickly.
She doesn't know it yet.
I was going to say, does she know?
No. The ghost of Elizabeth, who was Master Edward Gracie's like girlfriend, he was trying to marry. She killed herself. Turns out that, surprise, spoilers, that the butler killed her. There was some weird like racial subplot because she was black and he was white, and I don't know if that was the complete intention of that story and plot, but there it was.
The way it came across to me, please note, I could be completely wrong in this. The way it came across to me was Gracie fell in love with this girl and was just like, I love her, and the butler was like. The racist old butler was like, oh, hell no.
Part of it, I think, was that she also wasn't from, like, the higher class that he was anticipating this guy coming from. So, I don't know. I don't know why the butler thought that he was going to get, maybe he thought he was going to get money. I don't know. That wasn't really described.
No, I think it has more to do with there's this, like, you A, get a sense of like family pride, but B, it may be I'm reading wildly into this.
Well, it wasn't really clear.
In certain cases, you get where like the parents died, so then like the butler is like, I'm going to raise like this child, like. Yeah, and it's sort of this like this expectation that he had, like he is overestimating his importance and control in Gracie's life. Yeah. Like he's that kind of person that feels like he couldn't function without me. Like I am the one that keeps him on the straight and narrow.
So the curse gets solved. They pack everything up from the mansion and they drive to where. They drive somewhere to go on vacation with all these, with Madame Leota, who's still in the crystal. Like, there's a lot that's left confused, and the bus come with them, and also the crypt is there, and it's all sorts of all over the place. So, let's start with talking about the characters that are specific to the film. So we have Jim and Sarah. Now,
I am not an Eddie Murphy fan. Never have been. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say never will be. Just not a fan.
He's very eccentric. I think his tone for this movie, for what they were trying to go for, as far as I can see, because it looked like that he was the comedic relief for this movie.
Yeah.
I think with what they were trying to do, he succeeded in the outcome of what they asked him to do.
Yeah.
I think
they
he also
cast him for what he would be able to do.
Mm-hmm. The thing was is that if this wasn't a Haunted Mansion adaptation, I would think that this was a pretty good movie. Like, there was nothing really wrong with it, but it's a Haunted Mansion movie.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of expectations that are held, and everything kind of fell short. And I think Eddie Murphy went way too over the top with his comedy for what I would have expected for a Haunted Mansion film, and I think that's what everyone else agrees with. I don't think Eddie Murphy did anything specifically wrong on his acting behalf other than being himself.
Yeah, I just
think it was a bizarre casting for what the tone of this movie should have been.
Yeah, he's also just always rubbed me the wrong way. Like, there's just something, like, I don't like his style of humor. A lot of his, like, stand-up and stuff is about, like, embarrassing people.
I think the woman that played Sarah was very nice.
I just don't really remember much about her.
I remember, okay, one of my favorite things about this movie is she gets so fed up and she goes, "I'm not Elizabeth," and her voice cracks. It is so funny. Then you have the kids, Megan and Michael, so you had the kid interactions because the kids go in. I think they were okay.
They were the stereotypes of kids that were in the movies that decade. Like, they were just the same, like, you could have plugged any two children in there and, like, nothing would have changed.
They had some nice subplots in there, so the kid was scared of, so Michael was scared of spiders, and then he had to conquer his fear of spiders to help save his family, so, like, but that didn't take up a good chunk of the movie, which was nice. It was just, it was mentioned at the beginning, and then it followed up towards the middle of the movie when there was a conflict. I appreciated that.
Did the girl have a plot like that?
The girl was just
a preteen.
Yeah. She was focused on, like, her phone and everything like that, and there's no cell phone service and all that kind of stuff, so, like, but so there really wasn't anything developed. She was more there to kind of, like, let's go on this adventure. 20 minutes tops, right, Dad? She was real sassy. And Emma and Ezra, who were the maid and the coachman, who were kind of based on characters from the attraction, but also, like, original characters.
I felt like they said, there's, like, 20 characters we can choose from. Let's mush them all into two.
Yeah. Their comedy style fit the tone of what I would have appreciated the movie, and the chemistry of the two of them with each other and with everyone else worked really well. Then you have the butler, Ransley. I think this actor is phenomenal. I think he does a great job of working with the material that was given to him.
Yeah, I just think the material was terrible.
Now let's talk about the characters from the ride that were inside the film. We'll start with Master Edward Gracie. How is this? Is this a combination of characters? How did they work this? Because the ghost host and Edward Gracie and the Gracies and the little kid and there's
the Gracie name comes from Yale Gracie, who was one of the primary special effects people who developed things for the Haunted Mansion.
Yes.
When they put the tombstones in to the queue, Master Gracie's tombstone was the largest, so people assumed he was the master of the house. Now, if you think about the way terms and names and honorifics were used at that time, master usually meant child, and particularly unmarried young man. So, like, that takes on a whole life of its own. I'm pretty sure they didn't look that closely. So the idea of the manor belonging to the Gracie family was set up purely by the tombstones that were a reference to the creative team. The tombstones kind of act like the credits for the ride. So then you bring over this idea that Gracie is the one who owns the house, and that was something treasured by the people who worked the ride for decades before this movie came along. And then this movie ruined that.
What sounds like happened was it's like a lost in translation type thing where, like, there was one idea and then somebody had this concept of it and then somebody took from that concept for this little bit and then that turned, it's just telephone. Yeah.
The idea is the ghost, and then in the ride the idea is that the ghost host is the person who owns the house, and that gets really weird back and forth because there's no actual plot, so some of these things were shoehorned in later, so that gets super awkward. So when they went to do this, they said, this is the person who owns the house. And you're like, I mean, I see why you need that from a plot perspective. Yeah. I see where you got the name, but then you made it a terrible character.
I mean, I love the actor. The actor's done a lot of various things. I think he did it, again, I think the cast did a good job with what they were given.
Yeah.
They did an okay job. Now, there are various before we get to another character, there are various references that I want to touch on. You know, you have the singing bus, who, again, were there for comedic relief. They were there for a hot second, and we moved on. Thank goodness they were only there for a hot second, because I don't know if I could have taken most of the movie with them. You had the door that breathed, and Eddie's offhand comment about some big-ass termites. Which I was like, okay, some big-ass termites. I say it every time I'm on the ride. I hate it so much that's what stuck. You have, The Bride. This movie came out before The Bride was reimagined, so you didn't have Constance the Killer Bride. You had The Bride that was just kind of which
opinions.
The Bride in The Bride is named Emily.
Yeah.
Yes. So then in this movie it's Elizabeth, which I guess if referencing that it's like not the same character, like they pulled a reference of The Bride, but they created their own. Which again, I think that was the same thing with Gracie. I think it was the unofficial name is William on the ride.
No.
That's what I've heard. I've heard it was William. The unofficial name was William on the ride, and then they changed it to Edward for the film. So it's like there's like a differentiation.
It's a mess.
I think most of the references from the ride are in the first 3 minutes of the film, where the opening credits. They throw everything there: the hanging, the ballroom scene, the key, the everything. Every single thing was thrown at the beginning.
It feels so much like a piece of bad fan fiction, where they said, "I'm going to cherry pick the parts and pieces that I like and put them in with a bunch of my own characters and mix them around and spit it out."
Now, I am going to say, because there's one more character that we skipped on purpose, because this character is the best part of this entire film, and that is Jennifer Tilly as Madame Leota. There could be other people that were cast in it.
Yeah.
But she did such a great job, and she honored Eleanor Audley without copying her. She did her own thing on it. She's a very distinctive voice, like Eleanor, but she didn't try to sound like her. She was Jennifer as Madame Leota, and she did such a great job.
That's an uphill acting job, because all you have is your face and your voice, and even more so because like animation, you're like, well, they're gonna put in the rest of my body. Like this, you
don't.
That was it. Like the head, the face was it.
She also, I think. Script-wise, she has the best lines in the entire film.
Yeah.
She really does. They nailed it.
Piece of fan fiction.
Yeah.
They picked their favorites.
Yep. Hold on with what? And I know that she had fun with the movie. One of the interview, I don't remember where I read this somewhere. So it's Jennifer Tilly. I've read a bunch of things about her. She's a wonderful person. Part of the reason why she took this job was because, one, she loves Haunted Mansion. Two, she really enjoyed this role. And three, there were rumors going around that Haunted Mansion was going to get an update at some point while this movie was in production. So if the movie did well, the ride would have gotten some movie updates, a la Pirates of the Caribbean. As you see, Pirates I think did an okay job of like putting stuff in. There were things I'm like, whatever.
There were things that they put in that shouldn't have been put in, and things that they should have put in that they didn't put in.
Yeah, knowing that if this went well, and they decided to pull stuff from the movie, that she had the opportunity to be Madame Leota on the attraction, which, as much as I love Eleanor Audley, I would take this as an acceptable replacement if it happened. I know not a lot of people agree with me on that, but here we are. I want Jennifer Tilly everywhere in the parks. And I only get her on an audio for Monsters, Inc., and it makes me very upset.
It's hard because I was so excited for this movie.
Yep, same.
When you started hearing about it, you started getting the buzz. I thought this sounded fantastic. I was really looking forward to it. Little bits and pieces came out. You saw pictures of the set. You saw pictures of the costumes.
The set was gorgeous.
The
costumes
set
were great.
Nailed it. And you were like, oh my God, I'm so excited. And then the final product came out, and it was like...
I think the special effects were fine too. I don't think that was a huge problem.
I took issue with the fact that the best special effects were the zombies that had nothing to do with the ride. Rick Baker's zombies are great, but they have nothing to do with the ride.
Do you know what that was a reference to?
No.
Phantom Manor. So they took bits and pieces from Phantom Manor, which was the dark, scary tone that Phantom Manor did when they went with the skeleton zombies underneath when they went to their graveyard. So that was what the reference was to. Did it read? No.
I don't like this.
The tone completely shifted for that. And again, we get this weird radar of where are we on this scale?
Fanning me?
It's are we comedic or are we scary? Where does this
Yeah, no.
So that's what that was a reference to. That's what I've heard and read. It's probably right or wrong. God only knows. Like, somebody's gonna comment. Something to take out of any film, any adaptation, anything, is it, you can have everything great, but if one thing is not great, it ruins the entire thing, whether that's special effects, whether that's costumes, whether that's acting, whether that's plot. And I think story and plot and character development really
is where this fell apart.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of things fall apart. I can forgive a lot of things, but if you don't give me a
looking
compelling...
pretty is not enough.
I think this is a story that was passed around from person to person, year to year, and it just got really lost.
Yeah.
Which is really upsetting. I think as a movie, it's an okay movie. I don't think there's anything like really intently wrong with it, but when you're looking at it from an adaptation standpoint, there's a lot that fell short.
Yeah.
You can't just go, here's a reference, check. That's not going to keep people's attention. Next on our list, we're going to watch Country Bears.
Oh no, that's the real horror.
Bear Power! That's another movie I can quote, I don't know why.
So, I'm gonna say, please, please, please support us on Patreon so that we do the videos that you want us to do instead of the terrible videos that he picks. Because if he makes me do a Country Bear video, I'm going to die.
I'm only in it for the honey.
So, what I need you to do is like this video, share this video, subscribe to us on YouTube, press the little notification button so that you get all of our notifications about our upcoming videos. We have new videos every day. Would you shut up?
Queen Latifah. She fun.
You want to make sure you get the notifications because we have new videos every day. Please like us on Facebook if you want regular updates. Follow us on Instagram if you want infrequent updates.
The bear's name was Barry.
Oh my God. Also, please support us on Patreon. Our Patreon goal is if we get $500 a month, we will start doing a lot more interactive feedback and basing our videos off of what you are interested in seeing. If
he asked if he was adopted, he's a bear.
Oh my God. And if you subscribe to the top tier, if you support the top tier on Patreon, you get to see Lit for Lit. We drink drinks and we read things, and Eric runs commentary on Twilight. Please enjoy that. It's so much better than him talking about the Country Bears. Literally anything is better than him talking about the Country Bears. I swear to God.
Or a wedding singer? Yeah.
Save Country Bear Hall! Burn it to the ground!
So now it's time for let's talk about Jennifer Tilly because she's fantastic.
You're done.
The makeup that they did.
Done.